Here on Healing Quest, we're very interested in finding new ways of unlocking the power of the mind to heal the body. That's why we were fascinated by the outlook of the people on our next story.
Instead of referring to themselves as stroke victims, they've all enrolled in a rehab program where they're called students, and they're all majoring in the same thing, getting well. It's the start of another day of classes at Cabrillo Community College near Santa Cruz, California. 75 instructors, interns, and aides make sure everything's in order for the 300 students streaming through the doors. After that, any resemblance to the familiar routine of a school vanishes. The students at this college aren't here just to get a good grade or learn a profession. They're here to begin their lives again.
Well, it's helping my arm coordination, my hand coordination, sure, and my eyes.
Like Jim Gentry, most of the students here are survivors of stroke, the sudden blockage of a critical artery that can shut down speech, mobility, sometimes even the will to live. The mission of the Cabrillo College Stroke Center is to bring that will back.
People who come here are students. They're not patients, and we don't want them to be patient, and we don't want them to be compliant, and we don't want to, we just don't want them to act like good patients.
Carolyn Bliss Iceberg runs the Cabrillo College Stroke Center. The center opened 25 years ago in a single classroom at a nearby elementary school. And for all those years, it's denied its students the designations victims and patients.
We want them to act like good students, and that means people who are taking responsibility for what they're learning and who go home and practice what they learn, do their homework, and who are willing to work with other classmates to learn, to help teach other classmates, and to learn from their other classmates.
They have a lot to learn. The curriculum is heavy on literature, fine arts, and physical education. The day begins with poetry.
I breathe in oppression, I breathe out liberation.
Students here have already faced the third deadliest killer in the United States. The challenges that remain are monumental, among them rebuilding the critical function of speech.
I breathe in children.
Jan Hiley is an occupational therapist and instructor in silk painting.
People are surprised by what they end up drawing or what they end up putting on the silk, and sometimes there's kind of a flow that opens up and pleasant surprises come out.
Stroke survivors are often left impaired on one side of their body, including a leg or a hand. Painting helps them regain feeling and confidence and express their creativity. In fact, the creations of Jan's students adorn the hallways that lead to another class, one of the most popular at the college. Percussionist Jim Greiner is invoking the primal power of drumming to lower his students' stress, exercise their minds and bodies, and bind them together in community. With maracas, bells, and tambourines, Greiner converts his classroom into a raucous tribal celebration.
People don't think they can do it. Oh, I have no rhythm. I can't do that. No, I just can't. But after I get them going, I kind of have my tricks to get people doing it before they can talk themselves out of it. Once they're doing it and realizing they're doing it, then there's that element of, well, what else in life do I really think I can't do, but I actually can?
It's a portrait of the college's careful balance of rehabilitation and responsibility, therapy and education, help and dignity.
There's always been a real emphasis on doing things that are functional and doing things that are fun. Because if they're not fun and you're not they're not pleasurable, you're not going to do them over and over and over again. And if you're going to learn to stand up and walk again, you have to pull yourself up on those parallel bars hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. So there's got to be fun ways of doing it.
Walking in here, one of the first things I saw was this embroidered sign that says love is spoken here. I thought, this is it. This is it. That's where it's got to start. That's the foundation of healing, is love.
The magic of the college has kept graduates like Lisa Costello involved as teachers. Today, she's helping out in gardening. Lisa's story is remarkable. By the age of 37, she had survived lymphedema and 2 strokes. She also experienced a stroke survivor's worst nightmare, having the mind intact, but being unable to communicate.
I was afraid of the disability. I was afraid I'm going to be stuck there. I look at now, it's kind of like a blessing. It's kind of like I can see ahead that these people who are 75, still joking around, still, you know, having fun. It's like, well, it's kind of like, I've said this before, is that they're not done. And then I can say to myself, I'm not done, am I?
Tim Woods, a teacher and Golf Pro instructor, survived a stroke 3 years ago.
It's been tough on me, you know, going from being so outgoing and loving the outdoors to hardly getting around in it.
Tim is now the golf instructor here, helping friends like Jim Gentry regain the balance in their lives.
But we're not concerned about how far they hit it. It's just that they're out there having a good time.
Contributions like Tim's and Lisa's and a generous community have been the lifeblood of the school during its 27 years. Equally generous has been the financing provided by the state of California. Thanks to a funding plan for disabled students, tuition here is $1.97 a day.
My absolute dream before I retire is to make sure that this model is replicated throughout the country.
For stroke survivors elsewhere, the battle to regain dignity all too often ends when the money runs out. Our families grow weary. Our depression dims any hope for recovery. The teachers and students at Cabrillo have opened a new path to life and hope.
I'm like anybody else. I get up on the wrong side of the bed sometimes. And I walk in this door and I can't stay grumpy more than a couple of minutes. And it isn't because I'm looking at people who are more courageous than I am or who are, you know, climbing harder mountains. It's because they just radiate what's important about being a human and being alive.
The experts say that as our population ages, this model for helping people help themselves after strokes will become even more necessary.
That's because programs like this are not only effective for the students, they're also much less expensive than programs that are based entirely in hospitals and medical clinics.